sometimes, you see young women who've gone through rape and sexual violence, and they've been abused. And so I do think that I felt that these were important stories that everyone should read and know about.
So how was your experience?
IRA is, hi everybody. I thought it's great that a TV show is coming up.
People, especially women, especially young women, these are, as I said, real stories. For example, the MMS scandal. DPS get permission, get these stories on board. So I think Channel B was very cooperative, and I think it was a fantastic idea to actually turn this TV show into a book. That people can read and have by their bedside or have by their, and have in their library and pick up and read whenever they want to.
This book is available everywhere. It's online, it's every bookstore. So we've spoken about the book. Can we see the promo now? Can we have the promo?
Thing we have ever done. Very hard to be so serious for that program. Just tell you. It's on crime and
So we sorry to inform you that Karan Patel, the show host, could not make it because the doctor advised him he's sick. So we're sorry for that. So it's been 4 years, 5 seasons, and we finally have a book. So are we ready for the book launch? Yes.
it's an oversized book.
Oh, wow.
So IRA also has given the forward. So IRA, what was your favorite part of the book? And can we have the book reading done?
Sure. So I'm going to, I'm not sure if favorite is the right word with stories that are a little horrific. But I'm going to tell you about a short story which I felt was, particularly disturbing. Maybe because in some ways I could relate to it in my own life. And when I was writing this book, when I was writing this particular story, I really somehow felt like I put a little bit of myself in it, at least the background part of it. So the story is called Naz. And the story begins with 2 teenagers who have lived in the US and they moved back to a small town in Haryana because their father has gotten a new job. So a little bit similar to my background, because I too moved from the US to Indore, a small town, when I was about in the 9th standard. And so she moves to school, she goes to a junior college, and her brother, and it's very hard for them to make friends because they're these kids, they're from out of town, they're very different. All the kids in this town are pretty, small-minded. She doesn't speak Hindi very well. And her brother especially, he was very popular back in the US. He was a very good football player. And he comes back and it's hard for them to make friends. And the brother then falls into some bad company. It's a bunch of 4 boys and they have a gang and they're quite, they're bunking classes, they're always getting into trouble. One of the boys, his father's an important politician, so they can't kick him out of school. And so eventually, the brother makes friends with these kids, and they're always coming over to his house. And Naz, who's his sister, she's happy because she feels, wait, my brother's making friends, maybe these friends can be my friends as well. And so one day when she goes out, it's during her exams, her parents go for a wedding, she can't go because she has to take her exams. She goes out to pick up a movie, and in those days, you had those movie rental shops. So she goes out to pick up a movie to watch as a study break, and she bumps into these 4 boys. And when she comes back, they sort of invite themselves over to her house, these 4 boys, and they say, can we come over to watch the movie? And she says, okay. And when she does invite them, they start acting funny. As she watches the movie, and there's no one at home. Her parents and her brother have gone for the wedding, and then they rape her. They rape her that night, and when her parents come back, she's too embarrassed to tell them what has happened, and she goes into a depression. So, and this is a true story. So I'm going to just read a little bit of that section. What happened? This is, the story is told from two points of view, her brother's and hers, and so this is Naz. And Naz means pride, so the story also means how her own pride was broken by the injustice that was done to her. For days I was numb, unfeeling. I felt as if I were stuck in a nightmare that I hoped would end very soon. But it was unending, and the more I moped, the more I kept to myself, the deeper I sank into depression. I didn't want to tell anyone or talk to anyone. I only wanted to be by myself, alone, because a part of me kept on saying that the nightmare would end soon. But it didn't. It just got darker and darker, till one day, even though I had said that I would not, I told AB everything. AB is her brother. Once I did, I felt as if a huge weight was lifted from my shoulders, but I was also more scared. What would happen now? AB was shocked, angry, violent, sad. He broke down and holding his head in his hands, he blamed himself for everything, for befriending those criminals, for bringing them home, for his poor judgment. But unlike me, despite being devastated, he took action, beginning by telling my parents. Papa did not want to go to the police. He did not trust them. He thought that we should deal with it ourselves instead of turning it into a public scandal handled by inept authorities. Mom, on the other hand, was both livid and crying at the same time, put her foot down and told him that she would move heaven and earth to make sure that those boys got sentenced, and that to happen we had to seek redress and get justice. And justice we did get. Within weeks, all 4 boys were charged with rape. Nab, Arjun and Rakshay were sentenced to lifetime terms in prison. Ronak was below 18, was sent to a juvenile correction center. The judge, a kind old lady, assured us that she would ensure that he got his due punishment, though it looked unlikely at the present moment. In one way, I was satisfied with the outcome of the trial, but in another, I knew that it didn't really matter because something fundamental within me had been destroyed. And no one, no lawyer, no judge, no arm of justice could ever restore that. You know, also in this story are little elements of the Nirbhaya rape case, you know, and that's why I had one character who was sentenced to a juvenile facility. So several of the stories are a little disturbing, but they're important stories to read, and they are educational, and they're quite gripping. You know, I'm not saying that these are really dark and you're going to get depressed if you read them. Don't think that. You know, they are pretty gripping. They are pretty thrilling, and I do think that especially if you like crime stories, these are exciting to read as well.
Interesting. So you've given the best part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll basically give the essence of the forward rather than reading it word for word. Yeah. But, you know, I mean, the purpose of this book is not to scare you. It's a little scary, but that's because the stories are, but all human beings have a need to socialize. We are social animals. Some animals are not social, but we are. So we have a big need to be part of a community, know people, have lots of friends, acquaintances, all that in our life. But at the same time, we have another need to feel safe, to feel very secure. And I think that's the contradiction, because we want to be out there, having a lot of people into our lives, but we also want to feel safe. And that's the balance I think sometimes a young person is not able to figure out, especially when they're young adults, they've just grown up. So, you know, you may have a girl who's like, oh, he's just my friend, and everybody who laughs with her is a friend, or it's a guy who could trust somebody like that. But balancing that safety versus the need to socialize, that's the essence of, you know, where the aim is to make sure youngsters try to make the right call. The signs are always there, you know, and that's what it's all about. So that's, I think when I saw the show and also the stories, it was this only. Mostly it was people who did the crime who you know, and it's just a case of they trusted them. And I think you have to learn to be careful on who you give your trust to. You can't trust anyone and everyone in life. You should trust. It doesn't mean trust no one. I would not say trust no one. But that balance, that ability, everybody needs to have. And these days with technology, it's getting even worse because people can intrude into your lives through WhatsApp, through Facebook, everything. And before you know it, you feel that they are in your life. And you feel like you know them, you feel like you can trust them. But maybe not. There was a case recently in the papers I saw. 19 days a girl had known a guy in Bangalore. And a proper, like she worked in a software company. The guy also worked in something. He came and he murdered her and left. And it was just bizarre. And otherwise, without Facebook, this would have not happened. But it's here to stay. These technologies are here to stay. So we have to learn how to manage them. It doesn't mean that someone presses a like on your picture, they like you. Or they can be trusted, it can be very different.
And also I think we have to keep in mind, especially as women, especially as young women, especially women who are going out to work, out to study, it's not like the olden days where, I remember my mother or my grandmother, she never left home without someone, like her brother, her father, someone going with her. But now, we don't want that. Even as young women, we want to be independent, we want that freedom. But there is, we have to be careful. And our safety is in our own hands. We can't blame the government or the chief CM and, and the media and ye hua ki wo hua. No. Our safety is in our hands and we have to take precautions. I remember when I was in business school, I lived in New York and I lived in Harlem, which was one of the most dangerous parts of town because our business school was close by. And literally at night, I could sometimes hear gunshots, hear sirens going off. And I was a student and I took public transportation. I was taking the metro, I was taking the buses. And at all times, I used to carry with me pepper spray. It was attached to my room keys. It was attached to my keychain with some pepper spray saying, this is for safety because, you never know in those underground stations at 2 a.m. or 1 a.m. And you have to be careful. Like even, I live in Delhi and I feel ashamed to say this, but after 9 p.m. in Delhi, I don't take taxis. I even try not to go out on the streets. If I'm going out for a walk or something, I make sure my phone is fully charged. I make sure someone knows where I'm going. So these are things that we have to, and when we're young, we think we're invincible. We really think that nothing or no one can harm us. But it just takes one incident. It takes one fraction of a second for a crime to happen. So I really think, especially as young women, we have to protect first and foremost ourselves. And that is the message that this book is trying to impart.
And the book looks really interesting. Looking forward to it. Are we looking forward to the book? Yes, the book launches now everywhere. Online, you have ebooks, we have a message. Unfortunately, Karan Patel couldn't make it, but we have a message. But can you play that, Ram?
A press conference, though I'd love to be there. But unfortunately, my health does not permit me to be there with you guys. But nonetheless, all my best wishes with you, and I'm sure GUMRAH is going to get only better and so even higher heights than what it already is. And all the best for the book launch, and I'll try and make it up to you guys. Sorry. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Karan. We missed you here. So with the first question coming in from there.
Hi Chetan.
Hi.
Ali from Movie Talkies. My question is to you, like you said, it's more difficult doing the acting. Do you feel acting is more difficult?
For me it is. I think it depends on person. For me, for actors, hopefully writing is more difficult. And I find it very, very difficult. Whenever I can talk live on stage for a long time, I find acting very difficult. And one other thing I found only once I've done in my life is to walk the fashion show ramp. I thought it's very easy, you just walk. But I've never felt like, you just feel like, who are you? You're like a commodity, like a zoo animal or something. I felt like everybody's looking at you and they're just looking at what you're wearing. So I found it very difficult.
But your book, like so many books, like every book doing they are making a movie. In future, can we see you in acting also?
No. Because, Bandar or Madari ke khel mein Madari banna hi better hai. So I'd rather be the guy who controls the writing. I don't think so. It's not something in fact I've been offered once, but I didn't, because I knew that I'll be the only one in the audience. So I didn't do. Ajay, by the way, before you go on further questions, we all believe India is very tolerant. And just want to make sure every book launch something like this happens. Some little, we all believe India is very tolerant.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's Nikita Kadam from Lemon News. First of all, my question is for IRA ma'am. Ma'am, first of all, congratulations for your book. Ma'am, मुझे आपसे एक सवाल करना है कि ये जो शो है गुमराह, it's a brand in itself. तो ये जो concept आपके दिमाग में कैसा है कि मुझे इस पे book लिखना है?
I think एक collaborative project था, तो हम सब लोग ने साथ में आके सोचा कि इसको हम अगर story बना दें, अगर एक book लिख दें, तो वो किसी तरीके से it'll become immortal. So that's why Channel V, I knew someone from the channel. They said, "Ira, do you have any ideas for GUMRAH?" And I said, "Yes, I think that this would be a good idea." Then I said, "Let's try to bring Chetan or someone on board to make this into even more of a collaborative project." So being a writer, I really feel as if when you put something down in a book, it has an eternal life. Movies, I know आजकल movies में इतना ज़्यादा hype हो गया है, TV shows, but a book is a book, and काफी लोग बोलने लगे हैं कि with this I don't know, किसी ने phone book अब चालू कर दिया है or something or whatever, e-books, but I still feel like a physical book is something sacred. I really feel this, and I'm happy to have helped make GUMRAH from sort of virtual reality to now actual reality, and to make something sacred out of this.
Thank you, ma'am. चेतन जी, मेरा सवाल आपसे है कि जैसे कि मैम का एक बुक आ रहा है, ओके, आपके भी कई बुक्स आ चुके हैं, रिवॉल्यूशन 2020, फिर और भी कई बुक्स है. सो सर, आपकी और कौन सी अपकमिंग बुक्स हमको देखने को मिलेगी?
अभी एक मैं किताब लिख रहा हूँ जो अक्टूबर में दिवाली तक आनी चाहिए. So I can't tell much details, but it's a novel. And I'm writing from a woman's point of view this time, so trying to do something different. It's very difficult.
So Chetan ji and IRA ji, आप एक अगर मैं आपसे पूछूं कि एक शॉर्ट में मैसेज आप यूथ्स को क्या देना चाहेंगे और वो क्या होगा?
I would like to say, in context of this book, again my message, I do a lot of work on this, I do a lot of activism on this, is a young woman's safety is in her own hands. She is first and foremost responsible for her own self and her own body. So take that power, embrace that power, and do what you can to protect yourself. And it's really the need of the hour. The need of the hour, because I'm on the field. I see what's happening. I look at these cases. I write about these cases. I'm there. And so I go to the jails. I talk to these criminals, go to the courts. So for my work I do this, and therefore I see a picture that maybe a lot of you don't get to see about what the reality is. And therefore for that I feel that really that is my message, especially to the young women in the audience.
Yeah, I think she basically said it better than, safety first today. That's what, and not just for women, men also can get, of course women face it much more, but there are many times it's not even about harm done to them. A boy can get into bad company, they can join friends who are doing crime, they don't know what is cyber crime, they don't know what is drugs, there are many things. Even a male can be GUMRAH, and so that's also